Hi and welcome to my playhouse. And today someone dropped off their old server at my playhouse. It's my buddy Jim. He had this. I have no idea where he has it from, but it's an HP DL360 G6. I have never had one of those, so I think we should have a good look at it. He dropped it off. I can have it. I can play with it, and it's rather nicely spec'd out. I really don't know why he keeps dropping off good stuff at my house, but well, I am not complaining. This server is getting to become rather old, but it also means that this server is from back when they actually put in good stuff in the server, and there was like the companies were competing about having the most features, which they kind of stopped at this point, where the individual servers moved more to be hosts than individual servers. So here we are. The DL360 is a 1U server. This means that this server is a bit more noisy than a normal 2U server. If we just start from the one side, it has the Hewlett-Packard logo. This was from before they became HPE. Mounting, it has this slip with the serial number and just serial number. Then it has room for 4 hard drives. Is there also? There's also hard drives. Oh, there's no backplane back there, so it could have had 6 drives, but it only has 4. And there's no drives in it. This comes from somewhere where they didn't want the drives out of there. That is of course fine. There is some fillers, nothing in those, but yeah, that's pretty normal. Then there's a DVD Rom Drive, awesome, VGA connection, and an SID. This is this thingy. I thought this could pop. Oh, we can. There we are. So if anything is wrong with the server, there's a little control panel here, and that will tell us what is going on. There's 4 fans, there are 18 memory slots, 2 processors, 2 power supplies, 2 network cards, and some other random stuff. So put that back in. It's kind of a cool system. That. Then there is the UID that makes it light up blue on the back. And there's our little heartbeat. LED, power on LED, and then there is a single USB port on the front. Thank you. On the back here, it's fully spec'd out with 2 fiber channel cards. There is 2 PCI slots in here. There's a low form factor one and there's a full size one. Firstly, we have 2 USB ports, then we have 2 LAN ports, then we have PS2 connections, one for the keyboard, one for the mouse. It's actually pretty awesome to have those. That was really an okay system. Screen connection, serial connection, and then we have the ILO, and this is an ILO 2 in this server. And then we have the UID, where you can also press it on the back and then it will light up on the front. After that, we have 2 pretty standard Hewlett-Packard power supplies, 460 watts. These were, well, very regular, very normal. Lots and lots of those has been made over the years. I would really love some that would run 48 volts, but I haven't, or might not have tried hard enough to get some of those, but I would like to try and run a server directly of 48 volts at some point. So yeah, but redundant power supplies, and then there's rack rails. Only half of them. I don't have the part that goes into the rack. So cool. Open sesame. It has a locking mechanism. You can actually lock it with a screwdriver. It doesn't give much security, but well, it does give a little. You need to have something to unlock it with. And if you've ever been in a data center and you just need to go do something with a server and then you find out that it's locked, well, sometimes that will actually be a problem because, well, you didn't bring that screwdriver. And here we have the inside. Nothing wrong with this. It's really well built. This is from back when there went a lot of engineering hours into making a server. It feels like that's not the case anymore, but this is all neatly laid out. So up front we have 4 fans where one of them is not occupied, and that's because this server does not have CPU number 2. It only has CPU number 1 occupied, and as long as CPU number 2 is not there, well, they cheat you for a fan, and they've only put in a filler so that the air doesn't go that way or that way. This piece of plastic though is really irritating to try and get out, and especially get in again. I managed to do it the other day, actually I think it was yesterday. Let's see if we can make it happen again today. I have no idea why what it gets stuck in. Come on. Okay, got it. It has a lip here, and that has to be pressed in to get it out of there. Okay. So these cables comes from the base for the CD-ROM drive. It's power and the signal for the CD-ROM drive. Then there's another cable down here, and that's for the SAS controller. There's onboard SAS controller here with an expansion over here. We'll see that when we take out these fiber channel cards. We see the one processor. I have not had this powered up, so I think we should take the CPU out and check that out. Let's see, this is a different system that I'm used to, so I guess these press down, push out. There's one, and there's the other one. Open those up. So I have never seen this system before. Okay, that looks like original heatsink cooling compound. Yeah, that's original. I'll get a piece of paper and we'll have a sneak peek at what this is. Let's see. This is really dry, so might not be bad to change that. Jim said that this might be an L processor. It's not. It's an E5504. They don't come much smaller than that. It's an absolute minimum server. That's kind of a shame to buy a server and put in a processor like that, he said, and then he did it himself. So let's have that up as well and have a look at it. There we are. One of the absolute minimum processors you can put in a server like this. I would think this is a quad core 2 GHz. It says 2 GHz on it, and then it's a quad core. We will probably have to find something better than this, because this is no fun. But we're just gonna put it back in, and I'm gonna give it some new cooling. Where did I put that? Okay, so putting this processor back in is really like reattaching the lawnmower engine in your Ferrari. It's a good server, but this engine is way too small for it. And yes, this is the very good way to put this on. CPU figured out. How did this? I should have paid attention on how this went in. Oh, there's pointy sticks, so it can't. Maybe it can go in wrong. No, it cannot go in wrong. There is these pointy things that has to go there, and that fits really well. And this locks into place, and put them in equally to make it straight. Okay, not the best system, but there's really limited space in a 1U server, so it's pretty tough to make anything really smart. Then over here, processor number oh, I've never seen this before. It's a one piece, goes over the fan and over the processor. That's smart. So that means that if you take this out, you know that there is a fan missing. So okay, that's actually pretty okay. I like that. That's okay. That's ingenious. These fans are also kind of fun. Instead of having 8 individual fans, in this case 6, well, they have teamed them up, and in kind of a blower fan like this. And it's not just one fan, there's 2 fans here in each of these. It looks really powerful, but these small fans can be rather noisy as well. To bring through enough air to cool everything, especially when we replace this CPU with something that actually uses a bit of power, then you need some more cooling. Then we have 9 slots of memory for CPU number 1, and up here we have another 9 slots for CPU number 2. So as only CPU 1 is occupied, all the RAM is down here. And this server comes with 6 blocks, and these are 8 GB DDR3 RAM, Samsung made, Hewlett Packard branded. Okay, fast RAM for this. We might try and upgrade it to see what it can actually do, but most likely not in this video. I said that this server had a lot of features, and it actually does. Up here there is power connections. These are for the hard drives, but there's another 6-pin connection here, and that could probably be used for a GPU, but there's no reason to, because it also comes with a 10-pin connection over here, and these 10-pin connections are used for GPUs. There's a special connector for it, and I just happen to have actually put in a GPU in a Hewlett Packard server at some point, and I kept all the leftover cables. It comes like in a kit with a lot of cables. This 10-pin connection could go in here, and then this one will give you 2 6-pin connections. Then another option here, a 10-pin connection to a 8-pin connection. Another 10-pin to 2 6-pin. Okay. Now we have a 10-pin to a single 6-pin. I have a lot of. Oh, this is a 10-pin to an 8 and a 6-pin. And then we have another one of those. And then we have a 10-pin to an 8-pin. So this is the 10-pin to an 8-pin. So you could actually put in a rather powerful GPU. There isn't room for it, but you could. So that could plug in there and go to a GPU somewhere. There. Now this fiber channel connection has some power. So yeah, that's so it has a lot of power connections, and that is really cool. In that regard, this Hewlett Packard server is definitely in front of it. The IBM server did not have nearly this amount of power for a GPU. Not sure how much power this can actually supply, but an 8-pin and a 6-pin is like 225 watts, and I don't know if that would be possible. There are some awesome boot options up here as well. There's a boot from USB, and then there's boot from SD card. So you can pop in an SD card there. I have an SD card. So here's an SD card. It's just a converter, but the idea is that goes in there, and you can have your operating system sitting on that, and there that is connected, and then you can just take it out, replace it with something else. I like this. This SD card option is really awesome. Often this is a shared connection, so you can't really use both of them, but you have the option to use one of them. I am not sure if this is the case in this case. If you know that, leave it in the comments below. Can you put in an SD card and have a USB pin in there? I don't know, but that would actually be pretty cool. Of course, there's a BIOS battery, Cmos battery here, the normal size, CR something 20, doesn't matter. I'm actually a bit uncertain if this server can use the Intel Xeon 5600 series. This was the Intel Xeon 5500 series. The Lenovo servers, they could be firmware upgraded, and then they could use the 5600 series. I would expect that maybe it's the same with the Hewlett Packard here. We have a riser card here, and I think we need to unplug that, and I do believe this screw might be going in that direction, so we need to unscrew that. And do we have something? We have something on the back as well. We have 2 screws. They really don't want this to fall out. Why have they mounted that so good? And then this blue thing is probably where you should lift it up. Oh, 4 screws? Really, they shouldn't have. Really think that might be overdoing it. 4 screws to take out the riser card. But then it also comes out. It's really weirdly made. There is a connection here and there's a connection over there. So that's why it's so long. I don't know why they didn't just put that connection up there somewhere, or just make one of them longer. But it looks like, yeah, it might actually just be a, this looks like a regular PCI Express X8 and this looks like a regular X16. So it might just be that they're moving the connections from the system board and up to where the cards are. And yeah, there's not much on the cards either. So I was gonna take these cards out. We might as well do that now that we have them. Here we have, this is a standard QLogic fiber channel card. It's a 4 gigabit, 1 port. If you should happen to need some of these, I have a lot of them in my little shop. Links in the description. And I have them both with the long bracket and the short bracket, so no problems there. So better view of the riser cards here. I don't know if this is available in multiple versions or this is the only one, but it says down here that the X16 is supplied with 75 watts. Very nice of them. But beneath that we have the RAID controller. It's really weird that they have put in a tiny processor like that, but went out of their way and got a good RAID control. I don't know if it's good, but they put something in. So let's see if they brag about what this is. It says that it's 512 megabytes. Otherwise, I don't know enough about this. I can see that it's dated 2008, so it's fairly new. It's almost new, so no problem there. Yeah, and it sits right there. There's not much other right there. There isn't room for much other either. So let's put that back in. And the battery sits on top of that plastic. And the leads are definitely long enough. And it has the connections. So there is the controller on the system board. And then this is an expansion for that. So you have the discs available without this thing, but when you put this thing in, you can do more stuff with the discs, like RAID and better RAID and caching, 512 megabytes of caching, and that speeds up everything. I have a very big dip switch over here. I am so happy that we don't have to mess with those anymore. So if you're sitting at home and thinking, I would like a server like that, but they must be bloody expensive. Not really. You should check out Bargain Hardware, where you can find servers and you can start with a very minimum server and you can build on top of that. And let's just check this out. Unfortunately, the DL360 G6 is a generation too old. They're out of stock. But it is in there, so we can try and configure one even though we can't order it. Very easy, bargainhardware.co.uk. And on the top bar here, there is a rack server and there's a Hewlett Packard ProLiant 1U server. And they have a lot of them. There is 3 fans of servers. I found that the DL360 is right here. And it's the first server that is out of stock. And the starting price is like £10. And that's not a lot, but it's a completely empty server. They actually says that it can take 6 core processors. That means that it must be working with the Intel 5600 series. Let's request a quote. Their price is actually £1.2, but yes, they can't deliver. Well, down here we can configure it, and I can see that we can't even put in that slow CPU that is in here. They don't even have it. The E5504. Not available, but this one, which is considerably faster, is like 60p. Yeah, it's a shame that this server is unavailable. It would be so fun to configure the cheapest possible server and have that shipped. That could have been fun. Heatsink is really cheap. Then we get down to some RAM. They actually want a little bit of money for the RAM. These 8GB blocks looks like to be what was in it, and they are just under £10 a piece. We could configure a server here. When we get down to drives, it's pretty ordinary prices. And yeah, there is all kind. Let's see, fiber channel cards, single port, that one £3. Yeah, you should definitely get this from Bargain Hardware because I am way more expensive with that. They are really dumping the prices here. £3. I remember buying these. These were thousands of Danish kroners. £3. That means that it's more expensive for me to go mail this to the neighbor than the card itself. But, well, if you want to pay a lot extra for it, my shop is available. Let's mount this again. I really don't get those 4 screws. It's not as if, when you put the lid on, it's not as if it's gonna go anywhere, but yeah, it's definitely not gonna go anywhere. So I just noticed that Bargain Hardware said that this would use 8GB blocks. I had the same with the Lenovo X3650 M2, that they also claimed that it would only use 8GB blocks, and then we tried 16GB blocks and it worked just fine. So I think that could be some of the stuff that we could try with this server at some point. Try and put in some bigger blocks. Sometimes the documentation of the servers are made at a point where, well, there's nothing like 16 blocks available, so they don't really put it in the documentation, and then 16GB blocks becomes available and everybody is using them, and well, they work just fine. But we don't know yet. I forgot an important point here. We have, of course, the usual information on the LED of the server. Does it say anything about that? Power connection, PCI power connector. Nope. Would have been nice if they had bragged about how many watts that could take. So, but there is a little information: system board, front and rear panel components, fan location, and warranty stuff. So now we need this plastic thing back on, and as you can see, there's room for the battery up here. I had a lot of trouble trying to put that on first time. I might be in more luck this time. There we are, okay. And then the battery with this 1,000-kilometer long cable. What were they thinking? I'm not a big fan of these cables in servers. I like servers that doesn't have any cables. I like servers that has a very minimum of cables. And I think we'll just try and power this up just to hear it spin. I popped in the screen and the keyboard and mouse. So it is whining about something. And the screen over here, there we are. So it's not completely dead, it is operational, and we'll see what it comes up with in just a little bit. Okay, I just had to change the battery on the camera, but the splash screen is still there, so we can see that it has the E5504 2 GHz, QPI 4.8 GHz per second. There's nothing to boot on, so it's gonna be complaining about that, but I would say that everything looks good. So we have a little red flashy thing down here. Is something wrong? Oh, we have something with power supply number 2. Okay, let's check that. Yeah. It does look like there is no power there. Just the one that I had out. Anything? Yeah. It's not exactly what we want in a professional environment, that is for sure. But this bugger stopped complaining, so that's awesome. You see how that is really helpful, that you can pull this out and see what is actually wrong. I would probably not have found that power supply if it wasn't for that red thing that was lighting up here, making me aware that something was wrong. And then I was just able to push this out, and it told me right away that there's something wrong with power supply number 2, and I could go look and find out what was wrong. In this case, a bad connection that needs to be fixed, but right now it's green, but I would definitely not trust this in a professional environment. So now I'm the lucky owner of a DL360 Generation 6, and as I said, this is an awesome build server. The DL380 Generation 6 is also an awesome build server, and I have one of those in my data center, and even though I don't really use it, I have it because it is an awesome server, well built, lots of features, and it's a server that you replace when you want to and not because you need to. It's not a server that fails a lot, it will keep going and going and going. So in the next video I'll try and come up with some upgrading possibilities for this. We want to try and see if we can get this up and running with an X5600 series CPU. That would be nice, a 6-core in there. I have some of those just laying around, waiting for some of you to buy them off me. Put in a few hard drives, maybe check if it will actually use 16 GB blocks instead of 8. So kind of stay tuned and see how far we get. This is actually not noisy right now. It's not doing anything other than complaining about nothing to boot on, but it's very quiet, so that is rather nice. Some of these 1U servers are really noisy, so if you should head over to Bargain Hardware and try and find a server that will fit your needs, a tiny bit newer than this, well, remember that when you check out, you can use the coupon code MyPlayHouse with small letters all the way, and you get 5% off, which is really helpful for you and for me. So thank you very much for watching my videos. Do subscribe to my channel so that you can see me again, and have a really awesome day. Bye bye.